Good morning, fifth grade. As you can see, it is not morning here, but that's okay. It's not. I have not been able to get to doing this yet today. It's been kind of a busy day. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint with you, and I'm going to start out with the review. As I go through it, I want you to think about um, what we've learned so far in the past and what we're doing right now. Let me get us started on the first one. As we go through this PowerPoint, if I'm going too fast, you can pause the video and take your notes or whatever you're going to do, write the response, and then you can go back through and hit play when you're ready to go on. I'm also going to take some questions from here, and I'm going to add that to the assessment on Thursday as I upload some quizzes and some things from what we've talked about this week. So if you have questions, we're going to do a Zoom on Wednesday, and I'm going to schedule it probably for 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, not 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock on Wednesday. As of right now, I'll look at my calendar before I set it, before I send out the invite for you guys, about questions of the lesson and about any questions that you might have about what's going on with our assignments, and we'll go from there. And then I'm going to record that session, and I'm going to put it up on Google Classroom for anybody who was not able to join in. They can still see the discussion, and we can figure this out, and we can learn how to do this. So as we go on, let's start with our vocabulary. So once you get a piece of paper, I'm going to have you have 2 pieces of paper. You know my routine, 2 pieces of paper. At the top of one of them, I want you to put today's date, and then I want you to put vocabulary. And your first word is going to be mentor. It is a noun. It is a guide or a wise teacher who gives advice and supports a younger or less learned person. The synonyms are helper, advisor, coach, counselor, guide, teacher, and leader. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to write that down. You can pause it if you need to, but I'm going to keep going, and that way you can come back when you're ready. So the next piece of paper that you have, I want you to write response journal at the top, write today's date as well, and I want you to write the question. Think of someone in your own life who is a mentor to you. In what important ways has this person guided and helped you in your life? I want you to think about this currently. I want someone who's currently a mentor in your life. Not somebody in the past. I want somebody who is currently acting as a mentor to you. And I want you to write it down. This is one of the questions I'm going to take, and I'm going to add it to the assessment, the questions on Thursday. So I want you to take a minute, and I want you to write it down. Make sure you write the question and the answer, because when you go to answer it on Thursday, you'll know exactly what you're doing, and you know what you're talking about. That was for class. I was going to give you guys 4 minutes in class time. That's what that was for. All right, let's take a look at Milo. Let's talk about Milo at the beginning, and we have talked about this. So this, should all be a review. I want you to think about where he has started at the book. What was he like? What kind of things did he do? What kind of things did he not like? What was his behavior like? What was his attitude like? And then as we move forward to where we are now in the book, I want you to think about what has changed as he's gone forward, as he's moved forward. So this is something that we're going to start to look at. This is what critical thinkers do, critical readers. This is where it's going to really push your brains to start to really become analytical thinkers. A thinker, when they do an analysis of something, they kind of look at it in all different parts. They tear it apart. They try to figure out why something is happening. Could there be a different motivation than what's obvious? And they start to look at underlying hidden meanings. And so one of the things that is good for this step, it actually helps your brain start to adjust to what we're going to go and start to learn about a little bit more. Because we know that Norton Juster uses wordplay, and we know that there's underlying meanings for everything that he does, other than what's obvious. So that's what we're going to try and figure out. So we want to look at, what does this deeper exploration of Milo's development reveal? So the next question is, what kind of kid is Milo when we meet him in the chapter? We know this. I just said this. How would you describe his personality, his traits? And if you don't remember, look back at your Notice and Wonder from that first chapter. You should have your binders. You all should have gotten your binders and your workbooks when you come to the school to get your workbooks, binders, and a Chromebook if you needed it. So look back and see what he was like. What was he like? Do you think he's ready to move on to continue on his quest? Why or why not? So as you go through this, I want you to tell me what you really think and then back it up. So we're going to talk about this. I want you to think about why he's ready to move on to his quest, or why do you not think he's ready? Okay. All right, let's try this again. Okay. What kinds of things in stories can cause characters to change on the inside? So we're going to be looking at what kinds of things does it, if his attitude changed, what kinds of things could have caused that? So one of the things that we've come up with is that sometimes they face challenges that force them to grow up or teach them important lessons. And we saw that Milo has had a couple of those already. Sometimes they meet characters who help them or influence them in some way. We've also found that out. So you're going to reread pages 131 to 132. And again, if you don't have a book, you can go to YouTube and look it up, or you can share with somebody that might be near you if you're in the same house with maybe a brother or sister. But 131 and 132, hold on, is chapter 11. So if you're looking for YouTube, you're going to be looking up chapter 11, and you're just going to read the first 4 pages. So I want you to review these characters. The Lothargians talk, the King's Advisors, the Spelling Bee, the Humbug, Officer Shortshrift, Faintly Macabre, King Azaz, Alec Bings, and Chroma. I want you to look at all those characters and kind of how are they playing a part in Milo. So handout 19A. Again, we have started this in class. So if you didn't do it and you're not sure, this is where you can get caught up. So handout 19A it's called Milo's Gifts. And the first row, what you're going to do, start over. In the first 2 columns, review the gifts that Milo has received and the guidance each mentor has given him about how these gifts should be used. Then, in the final column, remember, a column goes up and down and rows go across. Explain why each gift is important and how each gift might help Milo. As you continue reading, you will add several more gifts that Milo receives from his mentors and reflect on their significance, why they're important. So the first row says King Azaz gave Milo a box filled with all the words the king knows. It's on page 98. The use of this gift was that the king tells Milo he can use the words to ask all the questions which have never been answered and to answer all the questions which have never been asked. With them, there is no obstacle that you cannot overcome. All you must learn to do is to use them well and in the right places. The gift is important because, 1, Milo can use words to his advantage to communicate with people. You're going to be writing this in your 3rd column. So under the significance column, the first row, it says this gift is important because, and then there's space there. You're going to have two answers to the first question, and the second question you're going to have 1. Milo can use words to his advantage to communicate with people. And the second one says Milo will be able to answer and ask questions and will have the power of knowledge. The second part of this first row, it says this gift will help Milo ... It will help Milo change other people's thoughts and feelings about important things. So this is an example of one gift that Milo has received. Another gift, I want you to do the second row if you haven't done this already. It says Alec gave Milo a telescope that he can look through to see things on page 132. The use of this, it says Alec tells Milo that there is much worth noticing that often escapes the eye. You can see things as they really are, not just as they seem to be. And so the significance of this, and I want you to do this on your own. This gift is important. Why? And there should be three little things of why it's important, and then this gift will help Milo do what? So I want you to answer that on your own, and then we are going to go from there. All right, the response journal. Stay on the same page as your response journal that you already started. I want you to think about the Milo that you met in chapter 1. Would this Milo have been ready for the hero's quest on the day you met him, coming home from school? Okay. Tell me why you think he was, and tell me if you think he wasn't, and back it up. I want you to give me text evidence. Now, consider all you know about Milo at this point in the story, including the 2 quotations on page 126 and 132. So if you don't have your book, you need to look on YouTube and get those. Chapter 11 and the end of chapter 10. 126 and 132. End of chapter 10 into chapter 11. Is Milo now ready for this quest? And explain your answer. Back it up with text evidence. So again, if you need more time, you pause the video and write your answers down in this response journal. Okay. Now, we're going to look at handout 18A. We're going to go back in our workbook a couple of pages. And it says, how do I use structure to help me plan a Juster-like exploded moment scene? So Juster, remember, is our author of this book. And exploded moment is where we take a little bit of a teeny tiny moment in time and we kind of expand on it. So it is just so much more detail. And you can see and hear and feel and smell and taste everything that's in that moment. And so everything that we do is going to be expanded so much more. We're going to use all of our senses in that just a little teeny tiny moment. So an exploded moment, remember, is just a tiny moment really expanded. So that's where we're going to stop today. So you are going to read handout 18A to yourself. You can read it out loud to your partner or somebody in your house. Forgive me if I keep saying partner. I'm just used to it. Somebody in your house that wants to listen, and tell them this is just a moment in the time of the story of the abandoned bridge. And if you want to explain to them what's going on in that bridge, you absolutely can. What you're going to do next after you read that exploded moment, you are going to annotate the exploded moment. I want you to come up with what questions do you think they're not answering, or what questions do you think that might be another important question you could answer in that scene. And then we could do that together. I got to figure out how to do that. We'll work on it. So you're going to start annotating your handout, and you're going to start looking at what kind of notes do I need to know? What kind of information do I need to know? And we're going to look at that. So we're going to start to make our own exploded moment, but in order to do that, we've got to look at what a good one looks like and kind of make sure ours compare right on the money. All right, so that is the end of our PowerPoint today. Let me just review. So we talked about what a mentor is. Okay. We talked about, I want you to think of someone in your own life who was a mentor to you. And as we've gone through these characters, we've talked about what Milo was like at the beginning, what he is like now, and how you think he's ready for his quest. Now, if he was ready for his quest, what made him ready? Who helped him get there? So we're going to start to go through these, and we're going to start to answer some of these questions, but I want you to make sure you're ready for that. All right, so let's go through this. All right. Any questions? I like that. All right, I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have your questions ready, have your answers ready, and I will talk to you then. Bye.